Stack my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, cash.
I'm old school, Beretta, eye on the sparrow. I told you, make moves, nigga, stack the dinero. Hands make the world go round, you better get some. I don't know about.
All right, let's try this again, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I hit the record button to go live and I didn't. So we're going to try this again. Shout out to everyone out there waiting. Off the Chain episode 50. Got a special guest tonight. We're going to be talking all UCC. No, it's not UFC. This is Uniform Commercial Codes. I was actually talking with Rice Crypto. Many of you know him. He's been on many times in the past, but I was talking to him about this. Randomly popped up in conversation on a live stream a couple of weeks, maybe about a month ago now. But he started enlightening us about this whole UCC situation, how you can use it to your advantage as a citizen and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about all of that tonight. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, share this, get people on, because this is a very informative live stream, a special live stream. Normally don't do Off the Chain episodes during the week, but we're doing one tonight. Holla!
Got a vision of riches. My FOMO got the fearful in stitches. Hoolie up, yeah, cause we in the trenches. That was my pension. Dividends is my mission.
Shout out to JoJo Wave. Dime Bar, Between the Buried and Free. UK stand up. Life size box in the building. Thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna get started here in a second.
Yeah. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, Bitcoin, Litecoin.
I hope you guys are stacking those coins. We're getting rich from crypto, baby.
Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, cash. Since I was born, been stacking my coins. These niggas pop, my money keep.
Fuck it, do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Okay. All right, we're doing it live. Let's try this again. Got my guy Rice in the building. Let me get this chat room up. I couldn't get it up, and the reason why was because I wasn't live, right? So let's try this again and see.
And that was such a great intro that you had done for the supposed live that didn't actually happen. It was great though.
I know, man. I know. It's hard to redo it.
Sometimes just those certain moments that you just can't recapture them.
Right, exactly. And that I don't think the second time was as good as the first, but hey.
But I'm sure people's minds are going to be blown away today, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. I hope so, man. We got Wire Sparks in the building. Sean, Caroline. Thank you guys for joining tonight. So, first things first, man. How you been? Haven't talked to you in a minute.
I've been good.
Yeah.
Just been staying busy. I've been paying attention, obviously, to the crypto market. I haven't been doing as much trading as I'd like, as we talked earlier, but I've been stacking my coins for sure. And I'm definitely liking to see what's happening in the space. Seeing Bitcoin hit all-time highs, all-time high weekly, daily, and monthly candles. So lots of craziness ahead of us. Everything dealing in regards to the political climate with the election process and all the social unrest surrounding that and all the other social unrest that was going on previous.
You bring up political, man. I know you're not necessarily
I'm
Trump fan. No, I want to know, because I haven't talked to you since this election, right?
Okay,
and
yeah.
I just want to get your perspective, because you're not necessarily a Trump fan. But you're a free thinker, though. You're not, programmed to think Democrat, Republican. What is your assessment of what's going on with this whole situation, bro? Was it stolen? Was it?
I'm going to say probably yes.
Okay.
It looks like there's a lot of voter fraud going on.
Yeah.
But again, it's like you've got to compete with what the mainstream media is putting out versus what are the actual facts, and the facts aren't being reported. So from what it seems like, it looks like there's a lot of different voter fraud. What I would say is that the integrity of our voting system is completely there is no integrity to our voting system. And it was very irresponsible for either Trump or Biden to come out and declare themselves as the winner, knowing how fraudulent this voting system was. I figured that there was going to be something where they were going to cause like a revote and utilize the blockchain technology that they were introducing the beginning of this year. It was, they're kind of planting a seed. We see the problem existing with the system currently. So let's, try this thing that the post office was supposedly putting patents on, or not supposedly, but we're putting patents on and putting this idea of blockchain based voting. With that being said, I'm definitely not pro Biden. I don't like the agenda of that direction that the party is taking. I feel very fearful for what we do, having an administration like that in power. It does seem in a lot of ways that Donald Trump is trying to do some things that may be in the potential idea of restoring the republic, which kind of gets into what we're going to be talking about today, the Republic of the United States. Now, but there are also some evidence that could be pointing towards us going towards a fascist government under the Trump regime. So, there's not been really anything set in stone. There's a lot of the people in the alphabet movement, the 17th letter, that thinks that the Fed has been taken over by the Treasury. But, knowing who created the Federal Reserve, I don't see that system just going down quietly and getting enveloped by a government entity without causing some sort of ruckus, or without, you see what I'm saying? So, but just the fact that our system is so corrupt and fraudulent, I think is a big, huge indicator. And we don't know how long it's been corrupt and fraudulent. I know that it seems like 1968, 1969 is when a lot of the digital things started coming online.
Well, that coincides with 71, right? Kind of that era of us going totally off the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
With Nixon and stuff.
It's been like almost a strategic plan, and some of the things that go into the idea of what UCC law overall, also the ideas of the legal fiction and straw man. This all kind of correlates to each other because there was a point in time that apparently we became a corporate entity and stopped being a de jure government. And the systems that our founding fathers had set up for our government system seems to have been broken. And a lot of it, I think, was around the Civil War time period. We have, after the states decided to be divided and you had the southern states walk out of Congress, that completely absolved what Congress was. The government was no longer even functional based off the constitutional because we didn't have the right representation.
Right.
So there was a lot of things, and they talk about restoration and restoring, but in the process of trying to restore, we didn't restore. We rebuilt with a new agenda, which was completely the bankers' agenda.
Yeah. Let's we got a caller already. I don't know what they're calling in about, but we haven't really gotten started tonight, but let's see if this caller is on the line and available. Let's see here.
And if we need to go a little longer and you're available, I can do that as well.
Call on the line. How are you? Who's calling in tonight?
Hey, Crypto Blood, it's Fast Nickel. How you doing?
How you doing, brother? Good.
Good. The reason I'm calling in, I saw you on the show last night with Mike.
Oh,
and I want.
Yeah, Mike. That's my guy.
I so badly wish I could have been on that call because I wanted to make a point.
Okay.
That I'm guessing you're familiar with Bo Pony, and Bo Pony reminded me of something that I don't think anybody has thought about. So
Jesus is coming back.
Well, eventually we know he's coming back.
Well, I know he's coming back, but I just had to throw that in when you said something about the pony.
Every time I hear Bo's name, I chuckle a little bit, and Rice did too. I just noticed that. But okay, what did Bo Pony say?
So this is what he reminded me of. So last night, I can't remember if it was Alex. Is his name Alex? The other one that was on the show?
Yeah, that's Alan.
Okay.
Alan Hanna.
Alan. So Alan was saying he didn't believe so much in gold and silver.
Sure.
And so, just so you know, like 97% of my wealth is in crypto. So I believe in crypto. And I know that when I first got into crypto, that a lot of people had this fear, oh, you know, it's the mark of the beast, it's the mark of the beast.
Sure.
And my feeling is it may eventually be the mark of the beast, but take advantage of it now to get out of debt. Now, what one of the things that Bo Pony said that kind of triggered my remembrance is a lot of people forget that either in 2014 or 2015, Obama sold the internet to the UN.
Yeah, that we briefly touched on that last night. Yep.
Okay, I didn't hear that part.
Mm-hmm.
And why that's big is because some people are saying that eventually cryptos will go to zero. And if the UN has control of the internet and they want to bring in some of their new digital system or their mark of the beast system by able to turn off the internet, that's how they're able to. They can basically turn off, as we've been seeing where Google is shutting down sites. They're going to be able to say, okay, we're turning everything off so that you can only go through our path.
Yeah. Mike brought that up last night, and that was one of his kind of issues, and he posed that question to us about them cutting off the internet. And Alan at first didn't think that was possible. I did. I think that's very possible that happens. Could they keep communication down forever? No, because you have mesh networks, you have ways for us to get around that stuff. So, but it's definitely possible for that to happen. But as I stated last night, man, if the internet goes down, Bitcoin and cryptos are the least thing on your mind.
Definitely. There's going to be a whole lot more going on that you're not even going to be thinking about Bitcoin.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I think after 2020, no one should think that nothing's impossible.
Oh man, God, you ain't lying about that one.
Well, yeah, I'm just waiting for the aliens.
About that one.
Just waiting for the aliens.
What do you mean? They came out and said that
I'm waiting for the actual introduction. I'm waiting for like them to be in their form.
You want a press conference like in the White House?
Like Trump or Biden like talking to one of these reptilians in reptilian form. UFO just kind of planting itself.
Alex Jones would be vindicated then.
I would, I need some proof, man. And more than just stuff in the sky, because I know that what people can do with holograms and drones. I've seen some crazy things in China that they've done with drones. So we're in for a storm, and that's the reason why I've got involved in this whole legal fiction thing, man. Because it's if you really study this and you get an understanding and you start finding the keys to the doors, you can find ways to get out of this system and take the power back.
So, caller, if I don't mind asking you, what is your knowledge on Uniform Commercial Code, if any?
I don't know anything about Uniform Commercial Code.
Okay. Well, stay tuned tonight, man. That's what we're talking about with Rice Crypto. He's been doing a lot of research on it, and maybe you'll come away with something that you can go further research on. But I appreciate the call in tonight.
Sure. Is that what Alan mentioned when he was talking about ETH?
No, probably not.
Okay.
No, probably not.
So but
Rice, does UCC tie in to crypto in some form or fashion? And maybe we can get into that.
It ties into the SEC, which ties into crypto. So I mean, I can definitely connect it in that element.
Gotcha,
the SEC has a lot more control than I was even aware of. Regulating all the commodities.
Okay. All right. Well, caller, appreciate it. If you didn't have anything else to say, definitely thank you for calling in.
We got to do a crypto.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, bro. Me and you definitely got to do something like crypto related. I don't want to throw your audience off by talking about something that's off related, but I would definitely ask for people that if they do want to call in to make sure it's specific to the ideas of law, UCC, which is Uniform Commercial Code, and ideas of legal fiction and strawman. If you can keep it to that, that'd be great. I know it's not my show, but I figured I would just throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So, legal fiction. So we'll get into strawman, legal fiction, contract law. That was something I was looking at as well. All right, let's back it up for people who don't know anything about it, Rice. I want to know in a lay way, what is UCC? I know it was created back in the 1950s, I believe, by some private entity, and then so it's a way for various states to kind of sync their legal guidelines,
commerce,
right? For commerce, right?
It's all specifically related to commerce.
Okay.
And that's what throws a lot of people off. You know, they're like, well, what the hell does commerce technically have to do with me?
Commerce and commercial and entrepreneurial dealings too, right? So how does that have anything to do with how, as a citizen of the United States, and that's, up for, we can talk about that and go down that rabbit hole.
That's completely, it's all intertwined. So
okay, cool.
The UCC law is a comprehensive set of laws governing all commercial transactions in the United States. It's not federal law. It's something that all the states adopted. It started out in the 1950s, and I want to say by the mid 60s, all the states adopted it. It is the way that all states do their commerce. Everything is contract and commerce. Every single thing we do. Now, the idea, it's interstate transactions of business, and it basically, what it allows for is the idea that it's keeping the laws the same in all the different states, so that there's no variation, so that what works for one state works the same. It's like fungibility. What works for one state works for the other. It's all kind of an equal game.
Exactly.
Because states that are on the coastline, like on the East Coast and West Coast, they have access to the ocean, and that commerce, right? Well, just that whole commerce of boats coming in. The states in the middle of the United States and not on the coastlines don't have that benefit. But what the government has done is sort of imaginary raise the water line up that sort of puts the United States underwater, that allows for all the states to interact as if they had docks and they were accessing the water, because the UCC acts under maritime law.
Maritime law. Okay.
Maritime admiralty law, which is really a military jurisdiction. And when you start studying law, you start kind of getting into the idea of all these different various jurisdictions. Whether this is truth or not, because some people have like what the Bible stands for, breaking it down like BIBLE, the basic instructions before leaving Earth or something. Law, a lot of people say, derived from land, air, and water. Those are your main forms of water, your main forms of law. Land being your common law, water being your maritime admiralty law, and air being your trust, ecclesiastical, biblical law.
Gotcha. So you spoke on some of the states being, coastal states, right? Having the whole maritime. Why is Louisiana the only state that isn't or hasn't adopted UCC, from my understanding? Is that still true?
I haven't looked into this, and with you saying that, it's something I'd like to look into. And also, what I want to try to say too, before we get too deep in anything, is I've been studying this idea of legal fiction, of strawman stuff off and on for a little over 20 years. But going back 20 years ago, we didn't have the information that we have available to us today. Nope. Exactly. And it was something that kind of resurfaced in my life, and then I started going down this rabbit hole. And as I've been going down this rabbit hole, I've been learning. And as I've been learning more, and there's so much to learn. I'm not at a point where I could tell somebody that I'm an expert on this subject. But what I would entice people to do, if this at all is something that you are, have some understanding of, check out my channel, contact me. You can email me at ricecrypto@gmail.com. I'm trying to bring together people, ultimately, because I'm trying to do interviews with all these different individuals who have tried to do something similar to what we're going to be talking about. And in the course of it, I feel like none of these people have really gotten it right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
It's like everybody's missing a piece of the puzzle.
Right.
I think I may have found somebody, but I'm waiting to get some more information about what's going on. But they basically have formed a private contract society. They this whole entire group has gotten a really good understanding of the broader picture about how to change your status and your standing in the country.
Okay.
Because as we get into the UCC and why it's relevant to us, that's what will start getting people a little bit more interested.
Okay. So let's we got one more caller in tonight. Who's calling in? Thanks for calling.
Hey, Crypto. Hey, Rice. What's going on? It's Hang the Banksters.
What's going on?
Banksters. What's going on, man?
We definitely got to hang banksters.
This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart.
Okay. All right.
I am an administrator for the Gene Keating School of Law, and I'm quite familiar with the Uniform Commercial Code and its applications. And getting back to the question of Louisiana is under civil law, which is Roman law.
We're all under Roman law. Everything's under corpus juris. Everything is Roman civil law.
Well, the United States in general is a common law country, which means that we have
that's been gone a long time, my friend.
Well, it's actually the courts work off of precedent under the auspices of common law. And Louisiana did adopt the UCC in 1968. So every state
I said mid
'60s.
I was thinking everybody did adopt it. That's why it's uniform. That's what I mean, because it has to be adopted by everybody. I wasn't. So ultimately, they gave in.
They did. Okay.
He's saying in 68. Hit me up by email because I'd like to talk to you about some of these things in regards to what you're learning, because I don't feel like common law, I feel like, is dead. There's a movement trying to bring back what people are calling common law. I can even give you via an email, I can give you Supreme Court cases that'll show you where common law was killed. It was like 1938 Supreme Court case. I think it was Erie Railroad versus like Tompkins or something, but I've got the information.
Yeah, it was Tompkins. The Tompkins case created what's called equity courts under positive law.
Right, but it specifically killed common law on a federal level, 100%. So there is no common law on a federal level, and no states recognize it either. We're under maritime law. Everything's contract. Everything's commerce. And I'll argue with you.
Well, it's a matter of, like you said, it's a matter of jurisdiction. So when you look at the corporation known as the United States, you're looking at an admiralty layer.
It's the layer that's in effect. That's the layer that runs our courts. If you look in every courthouse, there's a military flag. There's an admiralty flag in every courthouse in the United States.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's
mean
not common law. It means
it
means it needs to be brought back, and that's what we the people are trying to do.
Yeah, it's an overlay. It's an overlay of jurisdictions, and common law still exists. It's just which layer of jurisdiction are you accessing? So when you go into a court and you're basically answering a summons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who they're summoning, right, in their black magic Talmudic ritual is a corpse, because the defendant is an all capital letter name, right? It's not
your capitis de minutia, your legal fiction, your straw man.
Right. And so to the extent that you accommodate that fiction is to the extent that they have jurisdiction over you. Right.
But most people are not educated to understand this, and everybody's been entrapped into this system unknowingly. And there is the presumption of consent. And it's our actions every day that we take that gives that presumption of consent. And until you change your status and your standing, you will always be a part of the system. And we're basically surety. We're surety to the debt, man. We are the living debt of the world. At the same time,
the system changed, during the incarnation of the second bankruptcy.
1933-ish,
1933.
between 1933 and 1938. Yeah, the banking, it's the, what was it called? Like the Stigl something Act. It changed a lot of the banking stuff, the administrative procedures. I mean, that's the reason why the presidents are now administrations. They're administrators of the debt. We're essentially a bankrupt franchise. And that's
right. It's also when they
securities
brought
were
in,
created,
the
Securities
idea.
Exchange was created. That's when the Banking Act, the SEC had the authority to manage, control, and regulate all securities. That's a pretty big deal. I mean,
Right, because what happened
banks
then
came in and
is
they won.
They took out money. They took away the money of account, and they replaced the money of account, which under Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, the only debts can be repaid with gold and silver, and they replaced the money of account with human capital through the registration of the birth certificate.
Yeah, that's what I was
to
about to
create
say.
collateral for the debt.
So when the birth certificate is created, so what happens with the birth certificate is you're converted into a franchise, into a legal fiction entity. The birth certificate is it's converted into a vital record that creates a birth certificate. The certificate is evidence of a debt, and it's a form of a bond. And the system of the vital records at the county, state, national, and up to the international level are created to inventory all those franchises, all those birth certificates that were by definition bankrupt entities.
So
Right. So if you go to the banking regs,
but guys, what does this all mean for me?
Well, the reason that the commerce law and the UCC comes into play is because us as legal fiction entities, we are corporations. We are franchises of the big corporation. We are.
So is that the whole sign my name in capital letters?
Everything we do is a contract. And if most people want to get really down to it, look at a check from a checkbook and really get a magnifying glass. That's not a line that you're signing. When you really look at a check, and if you've never done this, dude, you got to do it and start looking at contracts. When you're signing a line on a contract, get a magnifying glass and see if that line isn't a bunch of small words. It looks like a line, but when you really look at a check, the line that you're signing on the signature, it is a contract. When you get a ticket from a police officer, it is a contract. When you get a bank account, it is a contract. When you go to school, it is a contract. When you get a driver's license, it is a contract. Everything is a contract.
So what? But what does that mean for me though? It being a contract, what leverage do I have now, knowing that all this stuff is a contractual agreement?
Well, you've got the unalienable right to contract as a living man. So you can negotiate a contract.
Supposedly, all these things were creating bonds. Supposedly, all these things were.
The idea behind knowing the Uniform Commercial Code is your ability to negotiate contracts. Let me give you an example. So when you enter into a retail installment contract, let's say for an automobile purchase, right? Mm-hmm. What you think you're getting into is a loan obligation, and that's the way it's portrayed. That the bank is lending you their assets, and in return for that, you're going to pay it back over time with interest.
You're only buying the title.
But that's not what actually occurs in this contract. So if you look and you understand the UCC, when you sign your name to that contract, what that servicing company does is they take that evidence of a debt, right? And which is under Article 3, negotiable instruments, and they convert it to a draft under Article 4, which are payments. How do they do that? They do that with assigning it as a non-recourse instrument. So they write without recourse. So that's part of the contract, is that they check a box that says assigned without recourse. Now, why do they do that? They do that so that they can sell that to investors.
See, what happens is they
sell that to investors.
They take your initial instrument, which is your birth certificate, and then they multi-layer that with auxiliary bonds, and then they create an exchange that apparently they're traded on off-book and private systems of exchanges through major exchange houses going through New York, London, Beijing, Hong Kong. It has nothing to do with the real economy. It has nothing to do with real, true creation of value. This is
that's the debt market. So yeah, the they're accessing your credit because on the application you put down your social security number. So
everything that happens in our
social
name
security
creates
number,
a security, a form of a trust.
right? So
Monetized debt.
under the UCC, when they sell that note, because they bundle up these debts, they bundle them up and they sell them as mortgage-backed securities or collateralized loan obligations, various forms of these securities.
But
they fall now under Title 8.
Would you say that us as
8.
individuals are traded though? Are we traded commodities?
That's what I want to. We are. Okay.
Yeah.
And
now, ultimately, one of the things. Yeah. Here's the big thing, though. I've been hearing this. I've been hearing it, and that's where the UCC comes into play. Because if we are securitized debt, then we are a corporate. We're a corporation, and we're under the authority of the SEC. We're under the authority of the UCC commerce law. It's
well, you are a living man, but your legal fiction is what you accommodate. So the only power they have over you as a living man is to the extent that you accommodate that legal fiction.
But going into court and just saying that
you're
a living man is not going to get you anywhere except for locked up.
Yeah, hang the bankers, man. How do I? So you saying that it sounds good on paper, but if that's the case, and every man that's been locked up will say, "Hey, let me out," because you can lock up my legal fiction part of me, but not my real person. Like
it's because we're bound. We're bound to this system because of all the things that we do to contract into it. In order to get out of the system, you would have to literally change your status and your standing, and that's going to also be proportionate to getting out of some of these systems. And I'm trying to make sure
which is possible
that it still allows you to, because if you do get out of the system and become what people would call a sovereign, if you want to get into those terms, if that's where we're at, then really what you've done is you've achieved to get out of the system, which means that you can't do anything. That would be, if you want to get biblical, that would be like your mark of the beast shit, because then you're not able to participate in banks. You can't get a paycheck. You'd have to get a cash job and be able to deal with cash only.
You couldn't have a driver's license
because you couldn't participate in the system. So that's the benefit of the system. So there's benefits and there's perks to being in the system, but then there's debts and there's obligations, and you're always going to be a debt slave. You're always going to be a slave to debt. It's a perpetual, never-ending fucking cycle. The 14th Amendment,
because
it freed us, it didn't free the African Americans. The slaves weren't free. We were all put in the same category as chattel. Right. That was the beginning of us becoming the beginning of what the bankers were really truly wanting to do, because Abraham Lincoln's tenure, like before him, there was 2 attempts at central banking in the United States that failed. Andrew Jackson was like killing the second one. The third attempt is the Federal Reserve. Third time's a charm. Yeah,
well, they Jekyll and Creature Island.
There was a reason why
they put it together very nicely.
The Patriots did not want that shit. Yeah, but dude, even if you look at the creation of that thing and how it was introduced like 5 years beforehand, nobody would allow it to go through. It was until they could pay a politician like Woodrow Wilson,
right,
that they could get it to go through.
And fancy up the name,
so
federal.
Section 4 of the 14th Amendment is what you're referencing, and it says the citizen cannot challenge the validity of the national debt. So what they're doing is they're creating currency, because they say, well, it's printed out of thin air. Well, that's not exactly right. It is digital numbers printed on a screen.
It's off our energy.
However, it is based on the human capital, the human collateral, because those bonds that are issued are securitized and monetized. Because look, they're figuring that over the lifespan of a citizen, they're going to have a certain amount of gross domestic production. They're also going to be taxed, and there are actuary tables that, based on your race, where you're born, all of these, insurance type actuary tables, they assign a value of a bond to that citizen. And that is how the so-called government, which is a corporation, gets the private Federal Reserve Bank to, print, basically,
We've
allow
been
bonds.
pledged. Everything about what we do has been pledged to the banks.
Right, and so we are human slaves. We are debt slaves. It is a human capital-based system.
This is retitled.
Look up Title 5, Section 5304 of the CFR.
Well, please
under
me.
Title 5.
Definitely email me and stay in contact, because I would I've got a Telegram group that I've got this exclusive thing where I'm trying to pull together like-minded people that can offer skills to help Voltron our abilities and Megamind our brain power. It's a mastermind group. So hit me up at ricecrypto@gmail.com and we could talk further about this.
Yeah, for sure. I know I was pinging
anybody else as well watching, because I see a lot of smart people in the chat.
I was pinging crypto a couple of years ago because I've been a part of that channel, that Telegram channel, for a while. I was pinging some of this stuff off of him. I don't know if you were ready for it at the time, crypto, but
he knows a lot more than he puts on.
No.
He knows a lot about this. Yeah. He's just not. Because this thing has been existing for quite some time.
Listen, I got a crazy uncle that went Moorish.
He went
Moorish.
I didn't want to
he
speak
went
for,
down.
I didn't want to speak for him.
He went down the rabbit hole.
I want to shout out Typo, man, who threw you a super chat, man. Typo's awesome, and he says private society is key. And do you know Russell J. Gould? He says I'm on a call. I'm not sure what I'm on a call is, but check out my channel.
He's done an interview.
I've interviewed him twice with a friend of mine. Actually, right now he doesn't want to talk to me. I think he wants to court-martial me from his little quantum grammar community. That's another thing, dude. It's totally
So was he the one you got into beef with?
Just recently I did, because he's got this whole system that he wants you to contract into that he's created. He claims to have captured the United States flag somewhere in 1999 during a bankruptcy of the United States. There was a 2-week time period that he went in and infiltrated and captured the flag. And he's the commander-in-chief of the United States. He's a postmaster general of the United States and the world. He's the key master of the Vatican, I believe, as well. And he also holds every position in his government, including every judge position. It's a little much, man. I've kind of moved beyond.
Well, what I have to say about that with J. Russell Gould is show me the contract, and anytime he's pressed upon verifiable
I've already
evidence,
challenged him.
I won't share it.
He's a joker.
I won't share it because people are.
There must be one way out of here, said the joker to the thief.
Right.
Gotta be some way out of here.
Just show me. I'm all about truth fears no scrutiny.
Yeah, Russell.
So show me the contract.
I get you, man. Russell's been at this for 21 years now, and when he has a chance to possibly do something to prove to people, he's just all talk. And so ultimately, CB, what I've been doing is like interviewing all these people. I've realized that people like Russell J. Gould, people like Anna von Reitz in American States Assembly, people like David Straits, people like Christopher James and Carl Lentz and Life Force, Kimberly Gogo, and all these people I feel like hold a piece of the puzzle. They're all missing a piece, but if they could like come together, they would be able to realize and put this whole puzzle together, but their egos won't let a lot of them sit at the same table and do that. And that's kind of what I've been doing with this Telegram
My whole
group.
thing, bro, is like they could all come together and have all the pieces, but the establishment, in my opinion, will just move the goalposts. That's what they've been doing, and that's what they'll continue to do.
Our founding fathers gave us power. No, dude, here's the thing. This is the thing that I want to inspire people with, okay? This is the thing that has been long forgotten. We as individuals have power to make change. Whether it's a small amount or a big amount, whether it's planting seeds for future change, we all have that effect individually. Together, when enough people take a stand, absolutely nothing, not anything can stand against the people. But you got to have enough people.
I was going to say,
divided. We're all kinds of divided, man, and they've done a great job of doing that. Yeah, but you could start bringing people together. When people start, 2020 has been waking up a lot of people.
Facts. That's very true.
A lot of people are willing. I mean, this whole thing, this idea of what I'm talking about is becoming a bigger thing. It's like the fire has been lit. you're not going to be able to put this thing out. People are going to figure out what needs to be done, and it's going to get done.
Yeah.
Well,
hang the bankster. Thank you for calling in. We're going to get to the next caller. We got one lined up, so I want to get him in. They've been patiently waiting. So
but definitely email me, dude.
Yeah, email Rice and guys connect.
All right, sounds good. It was great talking with you again, and keep doing what you're doing because we all are working towards this common goal. And
we're in this
the
together.
Truth is being unveiled in the apocalypse. It's not something to be feared. It's something to embrace, and that is what's happening right now.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well,
much love, man.
Thanks for calling in, brother. All right, let's get this next caller, Rice. Who's calling in tonight? And thank you for calling, by the way.
Hi, my pleasure. I'm Typo, and I think you're right. You are so on
well, pass
the
this
nail.
message along to the
can't believe it. I'm so psyched.
Pass this on to Chief.
Here's my
Chief
question.
doesn't like me at all. I'm upset.
Here's the question. There's a Mexico town that's really famous for having enough people to defend its position, and they have basically separated and become a private society. Government leaves them alone. Everybody leaves them alone to do what they want to do.
Where's this
now?
Somewhere in Mexico.
I was going to look it up. You can look it up.
Okay.
I was going to look it up, but I was just waiting on the line, so I didn't
Well,
want to.
since you said that, Typo, well, something else I'm going to be looking into, and since you're kind of already in this element, check out Derek Bros with Conscious Resistance. He's got
very cool.
He's got a project called Freedom Cells, and I think he's trying to build communities that would kind of like ultimately be able to do like a private society type thing. But it's going to start with building a community, obviously, and this is one of those tools that's going to get people that. So it's Derek Bros, BROES, or excuse me, OZE, BROZE, and it's Conscience Resistance and then Freedom Cells. You can look up all that and find some information because it's something I'm going to be looking into. I've reached out to Derek to do an interview. He's not available right now to do one. Usually that's how I'm able to learn about stuff is by interviewing people. So I'm actually going to take some time and research this a little bit because I know some people who are finding a lot of value from what this project is trying to present.
Yes, and so many people in different levels coming from different perspectives. So some of them are law specific and take a look at and do the private society and look into the UCC and the limitations of that. Some are above that. So living people as a general rule, of course, living people are above the corporate structure. And so the living people portion of this study would be all of those people that you just named. Anna von Wright, National Liberty Alliance is the grand jury of the country, right? Most people don't even know that. Never mind, they don't know the Constitution, they don't know the Bill of Rights, they don't know natural rights. They can't have those conversations.
Yeah, they don't know what natural law is.
Right, so that's the loophole in terms of are you corporate or are you a living person, right? Then you come down to like just basically born on the planet, you have rights. Now,
Typo, I have a question. It sounds like you're very familiar with the subject. Do you have any personal things that you've done with this knowledge to circumvent some things, to get out of the debt bondage that we're all kind of under? I'm very interested to hear if you've done anything yourself.
I have to say that what I just heard, I'm not sure who on the call just said this, but that's what, we're in this next step, okay? So if you think about the last decade has been about watching the commercial contract jungle just fall apart. And now we're at countries and governments all bought out, distrust. Look at the Dominican system, right? Whatever that is, ridiculous. It's falling apart. So we're at that point, but you're ahead in the scenario, and that's the next scenario where we get into people that do Bitcoin, privatize money. Then we get into oh, look, people are waking up. You can't trust the food. It's all GMO. Can't trust the meats because of the FDA being bought out. Can't trust this. People will
Can't
realize
trust airlines. You know,
all of them.
all of them.
The fact that they have been bought out so that those representatives in every single agency does not represent us any longer. Why? Because they're a corporation, right? They make money. That's what they're made for. So at that point, when we hit those numbers and we are so close that it's palpable. You can feel it. You can feel it.
I have another question for you, Typo. This is way off topic. I don't know what made me want to ask you, but what's your thoughts on this whole presidential thing that just occurred?
My thought is it's not as important as your discussion. And here's why. Either one, they're a leader of a corporation. So the more time we get to have freedom of discussion among the people, the better. So if we get someone in there, I won't name a name for people who are listening that might have a bias and they might turn off their head, right, to the discussion. So for that reason, I'm going to say, whatever leader, we only have two that we can choose from. If we have one leader and that leader allows freedom of speech and takes away the problem that we're having right now with getting closed down through these public forums. If the longer we can speak together and share these concepts and put in backup plans, like for instance, having CBs, having ham radios, having a group, because what we're discussing here is creating a group large enough that the group begins to be, to some extent, self-contained, self-educating, so we're not doing Common Core. Fresh water has a well system in a place that they can share, growing in greenhouses, enough people to keep watch at night and also during the day, to have families that are healthy and support each other. Those systems right now, where I can feel it, I feel like we have 2 or 3 years, and that they're quietly forming now, but people aren't consciously talking about it on the web yet. They're just feeling out, where do they want to go? The exodus from the city, right? The where can we grow? Where can we be safe? While this corporate structure falls apart. So it's a sort of, when you ask me that question, I kind of feel like, there are two timelines. If one person gets into the presidency, we'll have a little more time. We'll have a lot more paperwork at our fingertips. A lot will be let loose. A lot of information will be let loose. If another person gets into the White House, they're going to close that down as fast as they can, and it's the end of what we've been able to gather. So when you ask me that, I think gather books.
I think I got your context clues. So basically, if Biden gets in, everything gets shut down.
I don't think.
We take 50 steps back.
I think I can safely say that if we have any Biden supporters in the live chat, it's a very, 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 very small percentage of people.
Yes, I would assume so.
I may be wrong.
I would assume so.
I'm not saying you're pro-Trump, but I don't think we have any Biden people in it. I don't think very many people in the crypto community really are pro-Biden necessarily.
No, but you make a good point, Typo, about either both are slaves to the corporatists. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there is talk that technically that there is a possibility that Donald Trump, and if you look at some of his executive orders, it does kind of look like he could be trying to help restore the republic. Now,
absolutely,
the corporation of the United States, we've always had a corporation of the United States. Like the District of Columbia, the seat of the government, was what interacted on behalf of the Confederation of States. That's how we represent it on an international level. The federal government, which was just DC, a very small thing. That's how we were dealing with commerce internationally. We had one representative for all the different states. Now, if you look at the states individually, they're their own nations. They have their own constitution, their own governments, and all that. So we're like a confederation of nations. Is really what we are. And the federal government was elected to deal with commerce on an international level. But see, what happened was with Abraham Lincoln and when the restoration stuff, the 14th Amendment, then the Act of 1871, you got let me rewind. During Abraham Lincoln's administration, we had the General Order number 100, which, and then which was the Lieber Code, which was establishing what DC could do, and also a martial law status for the United States, which gave the president a lot more control at that time. Then he was assassinated. We had the Act of 1871, where DC was the incorporated DC, the incorporated United States, and it spread the power up through the Lieber Code through Act of 1871 and turning all of the United States into federal jurisdictions. So as I was telling you before, CB, that the United States is just one giant DC. That's how the corporation's able to have control over the entire United States. And so like
from a federal level,
right? And so if you get into the documents of like the revolutionary documents, another book too that I would tell people to check out, Documents of Revolution. It's got your common sense, your complete federalist and anti-federalist papers, your articles of confederation, your constitution, your Bill of Rights. I mean, there's a whole, like, there was supposed to be like multiple checks and balance systems. The federal government was supposed to be very fucking limited. That's why there's a anti-federalist papers in addition to the federalist papers. People just we're not taught this history no more. We're purposely dumbed down with our education system. And that's another thing too. Like, there didn't used to be funding for schools. When they started doing federal funding for schools, the schools were required to change their curriculums. It's like, you want to...
Well, we also have the Republic of the United States and President Geiger, if anyone's looked at that.
Yeah, I've reached out to President Geiger of the Republic of the United States, and he won't respond back to me. I requested to do an interview to find out what the hell these people think they're doing as well, because there's all these different groups that are all doing something, but nobody's working together.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem.
They can't work together. They can't work
nobody
together.
recognizes.
They're doing that. They're doing that in the political.
Geiger?
No, I haven't. But they're doing that in the political realm as well. I was out in Cheyenne, Wyoming, for the independent conference, First National Independent Conference or whatnot, and that's what their goal was, to try to get all these small parties together on one accord. But I don't know if it's gonna happen.
We're so tribal, man. It's fucked up.
If they work together, it would be seen as an overthrow.
I'm sorry.
If they work together, they would be seen as overthrowing, and so that would be an act of war. They can't work together. They must work separately and give out their information relative to their group. And they have to hold that, whatever it is that they're doing, they have to hold it.
Power grabs.
It's all about numbers of people, and I believe that what you were saying is true. That the current president is trying to get the Republic, and there's something going on with January 2nd that can't be turned around. I haven't been able to name it yet, but I'm kind of thinking that it's in the line of re-establishing that. So I'm going to get going, but I want to say,
thank you.
I am so grateful that you guys are taking the time to put this together, because, man, this is a great audio for someone to download and put onto BitChute, put in places that people will have access to it.
Yeah, this will be on library. Yeah, this will be on library. This will be on.
It'll be on my library.
It'll be on his library as well. So.
Yeah, and
wonderful.
Check out my channel, Typo. You can find me at Rice Crypto. I'm rebranding at Rice TV, but you can find me at Rice Crypto still. And you can find all those interviews that I mentioned. I've interviewed Anna. I've interviewed Russell, Carl Wentz. I just spoke with David Straight today, but we're not recording. So I mean, I'm in touch with a lot of these people. I interviewed Kimberly Gogoin with Life Force. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can from people. And I would like for you also to email me too at ricecrypto@gmail.com, because I've got a group I would like to add you into, because you seem to have a lot of valuable information and I would like to include you. So
shout out to Nathaniel
Lovely.
Graham.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Typo.
By the way, for anyone interested in this topic, there's a really good resource, just a video. There's a really good resource that just gives you a good set of ideas, set of concepts to work forward to. So I'm just going to throw this out. I'm not affiliated. I'm just throwing it out because it's an excellent video. JSNP4 put it out on YouTube. If you do a search for JSNP4, John Teeter, Titor, and it's the John Teeter story.
Yeah, that's a time traveler.
What I would
time travel.
Yeah, I'd encourage that you don't look at it as a real thing yet, right? We're just looking at it as a story with good information embedded in it for those that want to be prepared and ready and can have a vision of where we might go. Rice Crypto, what's your image of the next few years as people that are in denial actually see more? What's your vision of what will happen if you were to imagine it?
I mean, it depends on what information is revealed as far as what's been going on around the world. I mean, if we find things like the Vatican is completely corrupt, if we find that there's all this pedophilia involved in the Hollywood industry and politicians and stuff, I mean, some people aren't going to be able to deal well with this. I think that you're going to see a lot of depression, a lot of cognitive dissonance, and a lot of people ultimately ending their own lives if it really comes out in some of the nightmarish, horrific things that people are speculating that are actually going on behind the scenes. And that's just the part of
Wonderful.
it.
I agree. Now, we just had the Federation of China. Taiwan's being annexed into China, the CCP portion of China. So we have China in two positions. One is the people, we'll say the Federation, and one is the CCP. We have the same thing going on in the U.S. Australia,
we have to be very careful with where I see we're heading socialism, right? Because ultimately socialism only evolves. The end result of socialism is communism. That's the end. That's the path. It never stays as socialist.
Well, apparently someone like Abraham Lincoln was, I mean, like, you got to look, Karl Marx was around that same time period. Apparently they knew each other. If you look at a lot of the Abraham Lincoln's ideals, he kind of has a very socialist outlook. I'm still trying to figure out whether or not Abraham Lincoln was, good for the people or whether he was good for the bank. I'm not quite sure yet.
Maybe both. I'm thinking possible. UN is really UN plus China, and that includes Australia, the EU, Canada, and that combination is trying to take over while we have the people in each country putting up. We have riots in every country about rights, and so I think there's two groups that we can see here that within each country fighting back right now, and that's like the time period we're in. And so it'll be interesting to see what the next few years takes on. Rice Crypto, I'm going to write you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I want to take part in your talk.
Please.
Have a great night, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Typo.
Okay, bye.
Hey, real quick, man, while we're sort of slightly on the election thing, something I meant to say earlier too is a lot of people, and now some people are getting a little bit more of an education, but a lot of people aren't really aware of how our election system works, man.
Of course not.
They think that this thing called the popular vote has any effect, and we're dealing with all of this time of talking about voter fraud for something that technically doesn't even matter.
It technically doesn't, right? The electoral college. They're supposed to.
There is no repercussion. There is no repercussion.
There is. There's a fine. So every state has their own fines. They're very small.
Right.
I think like $1,000 or something.
It's not that big. So
it's not big.
Constitutionally speaking, right now, anybody could be voted in by the Electoral College. They have until December the 14th to be able to make a decision. The mass media, no news outlet is given government authority or the authority to be able to announce or project who the winner is. That is ridiculous that people are going to
they're
take.
doing it. They're doing it.
I know they're doing it. I know they're
and,
doing it. But
and in
it's
addition
not a
to
legitimate
that,
way of doing
the
it.
social media networks are
as well
encouraging. It's just it's really crazy, man. Dude, it is insane,
it's like, look,
bro.
we know the system's fucked up, but here's what's happened. Biden won, and just accept it.
Yeah. Shout out to Nathaniel Graham. I didn't know that was Hang the Banksters. That was him that called in, that was on the phone with us for a while. He is very knowledgeable about UCC. So
he
definitely connect with him. I'll try to drop you.
We're gonna have to do a series about this shit.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
no way. And I mean, like, I'd like to go over some things that the other thing I meant to say too is, for anybody who is listening to this, with me not being an expert in learning, if there's anything that you can do to help fill in the blanks for me, if there's any information you can provide, I mean, I've given out my information enough that you can, throughout the video, figure out how to contact me. I want to connect with people. This is how that we challenge ourselves to learn.
Right. I didn't bring Rice on as some like expert knows it all guy. He's going down that rabbit hole, and I want him to pull us with him and have that conversation as he learns. Iron sharpens iron, right? So if he can get around people who know as much as him or even more, that's only going to help all of us.
Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
And really, the Moorish people, the sovereign movement, they're a lot of these people had something right. The Moorish people, I was actually looking into something. That's a really interesting thing, because a lot of the Moorish people, it kind of seems it comes more from an African American thing.
Yeah.
But I have seen people that aren't African American claiming to be part Moorish, so I don't know how that works either. I'm not sure if the Moorish society is like expanded. I'm not sure, but the idea that this group though doesn't recognize any form of law in the United States, none. There was you can look up Charlotte or look up North Carolina and Moorish people, and find several situations where people went to people's homes and squatted and claimed it was theirs. They were trying to like take out like some sort of title on the house, saying that the people who owned it abandoned it.
Yeah, they were doing that a lot here in Detroit.
Just because you were gone for 2 weeks or you just you know any extended period of time, or like you've given up occupation.
Squatters law. Squatters rights.
And so they don't recognize national, state, federal law, any of that kind of stuff. And so it's really interesting, man.
It is.
And I think there's something to it. I just don't think that, I think that what's been designed is they want groups like this to seem successful, but miss something so that nobody can actually get it right. And you probably have some paid opposition people out there trying to push these movements so they can push disinformation onto these. But then you got people like me who are like, look, I'm a bullshitter, so I can see through the bullshit. And there's a lot of bullshit here, and I'm just sifting through the bullshit.
Yeah, no doubt. My man Crypto Yo said no such thing as African American. Yeah, I feel you, bro. That's a whole nother topic. We'll have to go down that rabbit hole too.
What would you prefer me to say in that sense? Because I don't even.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
Not a white dude. I'm not Caucasian, so I mean, I don't even really know. I'm Welsh, but none of my family bloodline comes from the Caucasus Mountains, so there's nothing Caucasian about me. And it's like I feel like calling people black and white is just so old school.
I don't know what the right word to use.
Like,
to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Nothing is correct.
None of it offends me, but I get what my man is saying. Yeah,
we're just people, and that's ultimately what we need to do, is stop letting even like things. I mean, we're divided racially, we're divided by sex, we're divided by sexual orientation, we're identification, we're religion, we're divided by class.
To me though, that's fine. Like, you have to have some identity, right? Some unique identifier to you, yourself as an individual, to your culture. We are different, right? But I don't think there's a problem with us being different from that.
No, but being interconnected and looking at those differences as, instead of looking at all the things that would be different, look at all the commonalities, because we're looking at it differently. If we need to change the way we look at things, find all the things we have in common. What we shouldn't do is use those differences
to divide us further.
There you go.
That's
well
right.
said.
Yeah, that's right.
Well said.
So, man, it's been about an hour now because we're late.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man Ken. He just slid in. Thanks for the super chat 420.
Oh,
Said,
Bozak's in the house.
What's going on, Ken?
I love you, bro.
Yeah, I was just on his show.
Yeah, I think I shared it on Library, if I'm not mistaken. So I've got a couple of my cats in the house. Michael Revota's in the house.
Okay, I see.
Between I can't remember what Adam's name is, but the guy from the UK, between the something.
Yeah.
And then Dime Bar, Ruel Pastures. These are some people that are in my group. Some people that have been watching this stuff. That
So next, I'm gonna have to have you back on because we kind of just scratched the surface, man. We really didn't get too deep into it. I don't know how much more you had to go over tonight. What are your thoughts?
It's a lot. I think this is. I mean, when you're dealing with a topic like this, you don't want to go too long because it gets to be a little. If people aren't understanding of what we're talking about, it's a lot to be able to ingest.
Right.
So this is probably
next time we will focus on, ladies and gentlemen, let's focus on the straw man stuff if we can.
Yeah, I got specifically what I'd like to go over would be like how the nations became corporations and then how that started to bleed down to us. Because the macro goes into the micro and the micro goes into the macro.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to call in. Right?
I know, right? I think this is my man Andy. I was just on his show last week, man.
Sweet.
He has a small YouTube channel. He's growing, but he's been a long-time supporter of mine, so we had an excellent conversation. Andy, what's going on, bro?
Hey, man, not too much. I'm about to start my own thing. Again, I appreciate you coming on. For the audience who's still around, I don't know anything about this topic, but I've watched a few videos, but I don't know. I'm not nowhere near as knowledgeable. I just have questions.
I was going to ask you, do you have any questions for Rice tonight since listening? Was there anything that stuck out to you that...
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
There was the timeline where you are talking about the late 60s and early 70s, and and you were talking about like the different states and commerce, and I immediately thought about the civil rights movement and how it was federally enforced through interstate trade.
Yeah, civil rights is another word for socialism. A lot of people wanted to look at it like, oh, this is good, we need civil rights, but it's just wordplay. I mean, when it comes down to all this stuff too, etymology, the roots of what these words mean, where they come from, people are even including myself, I am dumb.
Yeah,
I am illiterate. I'm lost at sea. I don't know my name. It's crazy, man.
Okay. Well, the only other question I had was y'all were talking about the Federal Reserve and Social Security numbers. I was just in my mind, I immediately went to what's next, what's coming after this, right? If there is, they're calling it like the Great Leap Forward. Other people are calling it like the Great Reset. But my question is have you found any sort of information relating this to the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central bank of central banks?
Yeah, over in
it would all be intertwined because apparently, and this is what I need. I'm trying to find proof that the United States is a corporation and it's traded.
Okay.
I'm trying to find proof that I am a corporation and that I'm traded, that my primary document, my birth certificate would be my primary certificate. And then there's all these derivatives that are created based off of things like tickets that I get from police officers or creating a bank account, anything where I've got these numbers that could add up to a QSIP number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's not like you can just look this information up. It's not public knowledge. So I'm not 100% sure that all this stuff that I'm talking about is 100% real. There's a lot of things pointing to yes, but have I seen myself or the United States or all these other nations traded as commodities? Absolutely not. But if somebody can provide that information, I would love them to death.
Yeah. Well,
I like factual information and factual evidence as much as possible.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Before I get off here, CB, I have seen some viral videos of, I guess someone who's saying that they were a Moor and they basically, they didn't have to pay a toll, right? They're just this This is my country. You're the one who is the illegal one here. I'm not signing that ticket. I'm not going to pay a toll to drive down the road. And, the law enforcement was just like, okay, get out of here.
He probably didn't want to just deal with
a
it.
lot of times that's what it is.
That's what
if
it is.
If you look up this, I can send information where police have been documenting information and they send it to each other. There's a college in North Carolina where they did a study, and it's about the sovereign movement, and it deals with verbiage and stuff. And really what it comes down to is if you're talking a good talk, a lot of times they're just going to leave you alone. If you start becoming a nuisance, or let's say you think you're successful and you're trying to teach other people, and then it becomes a problem for them, then it's going to become a problem for you. But generally, if you're just trying to contest some little things like driving around without a license, and you got a cool cop, you might get someone who's going to be cool and just like let you think that you're doing things the right way. But a lot of these people,
I mean, hey Andy, you take a look at Wesley Snipes, man. He tried that Moorish stuff, and we see where that got him.
Oh, I didn't know.
Whatever happened to Wesley Snipes? Is he still doing stuff? Is he still doing movies?
I don't know, man.
I know he's indebted, but
he did how many years? 6 years?
Federal time, yeah.
Federal time.
The last thing that I heard about Wesley Snipes was that him and Joe Rogan were supposed to do like a fight, MMA, but Wesley Snipes backed out. That's the last time I heard about Wesley Snipes.
When was this?
This was years ago. Years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that would have been better than the Tyson and.
Did you watch that? How'd that go?
Yeah, it was horrible, man.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
I just saw a meme of Mike Tyson biting his gloves. That's what I saw.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did bite his gloves.
Did he bite like any part of the glove off?
No.
He was nibbling.
He was nibbling. Yeah, he was nibbling on it.
All right.
That's funny. All right, Andy, man. Thanks for calling in, bro.
Hey, great topic tonight. We'll see you later.
Thank you. All right. Let's get 10 Pound in here really quickly. I'm going to close the lines after him, and we'll roll out. So, 10 Pound, what's going on, brother?
Dude, you know how it is. Might as well kick it with my camera on, show my face and y'all showing your faces.
Were you trying to flex? You trying to flex in front of us over here?
Yeah, he's always trying to flex, man.
Man, I'm not trying to flex. What do you mean? If I was trying to flex, I would have put up the green screen, but nah, I just got a green light. You feel me?
You got that workout center behind you and stuff where you get all buff.
Oh man.
Sheesh. Oh my days.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think when it comes down to the whole Morris principles, it needs to be addressed. There are a lot of history that's hidden behind this country. You know what I mean? There's a lot of it. And
dude, we've been lied to about a lot of shit, man. Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff. I mean, it's even getting to the point with me trying to like go through and like look at history and try to put together a correct timeline. It's like, I was trying to just go back from the beginning of America.
Hey, but
that was even hard. I just had to break it down to Abraham Lincoln, and because I couldn't really. That was enough. There's enough.
But the thing is though, bro, the rabbit hole, it goes deep, man, because we've been lied to about religion as well.
Yeah, apparently the calendar's been changed. The entire the maps might have been changed. Who the hell knows like what is even real?
You don't.
Cartographers are actually people that commit suicide more often than other people in different fields of geography, and geology.
Cartographers, what specifically?
Like, what are those?
Cartographers. They're people that set the coordinates for the maps.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they do way more. I just abridged the definition. That was the oversimplification.
I mean, if you ever want to even off the records have a conversation about some of this deep stuff, CB, let me know. If you want to record it, we can record it. But I'd be interested in getting a perspective of what the Moorish nation and what the thought behind, because I'm getting an idea that the understanding is they were here before we colonized the United States. But then that comes into play too. What about what we call Native Americans? Did everybody coexist? Was there separate? Because I know there was an Iroquois.
Black people were here well before the slave ships came over.
Yep, exactly. And, that's the principle.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
I definitely would like to talk about whether we record or not. I'd definitely like to have a conversation about something.
Now, here's the thing. It wasn't just the black people from being here natively. You know what I mean? It was black people from the French Empire. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That actually traversed. And again, that goes back to the Moorish thing, Rice. Yep. The Moors were the ones that actually helped Columbus find his path to the States.
Yeah, South America first, actually.
South America first, right.
Yeah. Well, see, that would be a piece of history that has, again, been manipulated and changed. So, you know, it's crazy the amount of stuff that we apparently have been lied to. And then when you go and look at, like, overall, like, how deep this subject of the legal fiction stuff and it goes back to, like, the Babylonian times, like something people want to call Babylonian money magic. It's some really, really deep stuff, but it encompasses using something like geomancy that would be like placing things at strategic locations because of the energy properties, like ley lines and things like that. I mean,
if you look at the pyramids,
right?
They're Mayan
astronomy,
pyramids.
Apparently some people know how all this affects us and utilizes all these different things to manipulate us into this consenting system.
Be surprised. Yeah, because you look at all the ones in Egypt, the pyramids in South America.
They're all on ley lines. They're all
on ley lines.
Yeah,
and they found
some of them work out with like constellations. So it's like as above, so below.
It's
and
like there's some here in the States too. I hear.
Dude, I mean, I'm actually going to be interviewing a guy who has a show on History Channel.
Nice.
Like Unearthing America or something. His name is Scott Walter.
Yeah. Because he's had the prior governor of Minnesota on, hasn't he?
I think so.
On that show,
he covers a lot of things in regards to like the Knights Templar and looking for biblical artifacts possibly being in the States. Dude, I mean, I've heard all kinds. There's like someone said earlier, I mean, there's really not much in 2020 that's going to surprise me.
Hey, I have a question for you, Rice, Chris.
Aliens? Yeah.
Yo, Rice, crypto man. What do you think about the Catholic Church?
I don't want to offend anybody, but I think that
offend them.
I don't believe in the Catholic Church is that the God that they worship is at all the creator, source, father of this universe and has anything to do with Yeshua at all. I think it's probably one of the most darkest things in the world. And when I talk about a lot of what I talk about to you, when I say the UCC stuff and nations being turned into corporations, do you know who the main corporation is? Because they're all franchises. It's all franchised from the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Una Sanctum. Look this thing up. It's a papal bull. This is where the Catholic Church claimed that they owned all land, all souls, all flesh, everything. And they still think that today, and our system operates under that. The Triple Crown would be your Vatican, your City of London, and your District of Columbia. They are in and of themselves their own entities. They're not part of nations.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Just those three.
Yeah.
And they all work in conjunction with each other. One deals with finances, one deals with the religion, and one deals with the military enforcement.
For sure. I mean, that's kind of the craziest part, man. Most people don't realize that the Vatican actually has a military. They also have a space program as well.
The Uma Sanctum, UMA. Are you looking it up, CB?
No.
That shit will blow your mind, though. It's a papal bull. It's a papal bull that basically is. Trying to see if I can pull it up. It basically says that the Pope, the Vicar of Christ, and the Vatican own everything: flesh, land, soul. Papal bull that was issued by Pope Boniface the 8th, I believe, on the 18th of November 1302. It laid out dogmatic propositions of the unity of the Catholic Church, the necessity of belonging to it as an eternal salvation, the possession of the Pope as a supreme head of the Church, and the duty thence arising of the submission to the Pope and to belong to the Church and thus attain salvation. Further emphasized, it goes into all this stuff, but if you really look into it, It's the Pope declaring that the Catholic Church owns all land, all flesh, all souls.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think the system of like what we've been like when you said something about the religions, I mean, there's a lot of things that have been twisted around. A lot.
Yeah,
of
but
things.
I would say religion's actually kind of the root thing that holds a lot of people under control.
I would say that the Pope is probably one of the most powerful people on this planet.
Hey, I have to ask though, how do they even claim to own somebody's soul, even if they're
how do you claim to be the representative of Christ?
Yeah, how do you?
That people got to pretend like you're Christ on earth. That in and of itself, reading the word should be a hypocrisy and realize that is anti-Christ.
What people should go research on the whole Christianity thing is the Fabians.
And the Flavian dynasty, yes, Constantine, the Council of Nicaea is 1 and 2, and then your King James.
Yeah,
I'm pretty well rounded,
man, and
not too super well knowledgeable on all these different extraterrestrials and reptilians and draconians. But if you are a reptilian or a draconian,
you're not watching enough Alex Jones, man.
If people are watching, I mean, if any extraterrestrials or non-human entities are watching this cast, please reach out to me at ricecrypto@gmail.com.
Oh, they're gonna reach out, all right.
I have an open invitation for all reptilians specifically, and I would like to invite draconians, any shapeshifters that are willing to shapeshift on my show.
Abduct you. That's going to be their introduction via email. It's going to be via an abduction. I'm not going to see Rice anymore.
I want to be like Cartman and have that anal probe.
Oh, crazy, bro!
Y'all have something come out of my arse, like from the back here while I'm recording.
Bruh, if y'all
That's a
really
good point
think,
to end.
Bruh, if you guys really think that like if there are any sort of shapeshifters on this planet that'd be willing to expose themselves on the internet, man, even if that did happen, bro, people would say that's After Effects. That's Premiere Pro. And that's Sony Vegas.
That's augmented reality.
Yeah, exactly, bro. They'd be like, nah, he's capping, bro.
Big
That's
Baby Jesus. I don't care. Just any of it.
Big Baby Jesus. Well, hey, man, we can go down these rabbit holes at any time. I know a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, but I've done many years of research on the whole religion thing and the Flavians, as you stated, that and many other things, man. And going back to ancient Egyptology. Ancient Kemet, all that stuff.
You've got to see
this. A lot of good stuff.
I did an interview with a guy named Ralph Ellis. He calls himself a historical revisionist, and or biblical revisionist. He does a lot of like revisionist stuff and tries to replace things back in history. He's got a really interesting concept of where the Jewish people came from, kind of mentioning Egypt, and going into who he thought they based the story of Jesus off of, and it was a king of a place called Edessa. I'll send you a link to it. It's a guy named Ralph Ellis, but I've been down since I branched out, dude. I've been covering all this different stuff, and I'm about 900 subscribers below you now.
Yeah, I know you've been going crazy with this other non-crypto stuff.
It's working. Yeah. And it's getting the other people involved in crypto as well. So I'm actually able to get out of the echo chamber and reach people who are new to crypto, who have no clue. And that's the people I want to reach.
That's very true. That's very true.
Most of the crypto people are condescending.
Yeah, they are actually, and they're extremists too. They're either extremists or they're maximalists.
It's crazy. I mean, I love crypto, but I don't like what it's turned into. But if I keep talking,
we've had that conversation.
Yeah, multiple times.
We've had that conversation before.
Multiple times. I mean, Roger Ver once a month retweets an interview I did with him last year to reiterate the shit we talked about.
Yeah. So I always try to point people to, you were talking about the whole Jesus story, not the original story, and there are like 10 different versions that predate Christ.
Yeah,
from various.
Well, that would be astrotheology.
Yeah, Krishna.
Krishna. The one before that would have been Mithra.
Right.
Mithra. Right. A lot of Christianity seems to it combined a lot of what people would consider to be paganistic things and combining them into It's like an amalgamation of like combining a bunch of different religions so that everybody can enjoy the best of. It's like a compilation CD.
Right.
It's like a mixtape.
Exactly. It is. It is. And so I always, my interest has always been in the Egyptian story, Horus, and that whole.
But it even goes back, I think, a little bit earlier than that. I think like the ideas of this might go back to Sumeria and Mesopotamia. And really the idea, the astrotheology, what Horus and all that and the different sun gods, it all might originate from Nimrod. And his mother, I forget one of the names she had, but she also had a name of Semiramis, and that's what the Statue of Liberty is based off of, Semiramis. So you can look this up. Semiramis would be kind of equivalent to like your Virgin Mary.
Yep, exactly.
It's Isis.
Exactly.
Ishtar,
exactly.
Easter. She came from an egg in the moon, dude. Did you not know that?
Yep, exactly.
She came from
Easter is nothing. Easter is nothing but a. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if people want to go, the thing with me, man, I had to
Christmas trees. I mean, it's completely a pagan thing. It's nothing Christian. Christmas tree.
Yeah, Christmas trees. They worship those because they saw them growing in the winter and they didn't understand why they were green and still growing. They thought that they were deities. But I had to open my eyes. It's something that you have to. It's self-initiated. You can't. Like, if you're not ready for that information,
no,
it's you're gonna suffer from cognitive dissonance. You're gonna fight back. You're gonna get mad. You're gonna lash out at people. So people have to be actually ready to go down that path.
Be nice.
Everyone has their own stage.
It'd be nice to think that what we are taught, is truthful and that we can just trust people. But
it would be.
It's not the reality of things. And once you come to terms with that, then you can start to come to terms with other things.
Well, man, go ahead, 10 pound.
I was going to say, like, the fact that the government is literally just indoctrinating people into becoming debt slaves. Yeah, that too. But that's all. Yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Well, that's something we'll get into, too. I mean, again, it's the presumptive consent that we give. Yeah. We opt into it every day.
I mean, if you look at the debt clock, though, man, bro.
That's irrelevant, bro. Man, that's irrelevant nowadays. Because we're heading into
just
MMT.
A concept. It's just
it's just a concept.
Man, you really think the taxpayers ain't going to be? Yeah, I know. I completely agree. It's like a game that's just broken, right? It's like
actually there's Monopoly money. Some old versions of Monopoly money is actually worth more than actual money.
Wait, so you're telling me that they were not all debt slaves?
No, we are, but what I'm saying is the debt clock and all that is irrelevant because we've literally them every 2 years, Rice.
There's no way for us to get out of debt.
They go through this debt ceiling increase.
Yeah, right. It's a perpetual system. There's no way to pay off the debt and get your credit card down to zero. There's no way. No. You're always going to have that interest payment.
If you pay all your debt off, it's actually detrimental to you. Like, you might as well load up on debt and get
because then your credit would be bad. You won't have good credit if you pay off all your debt.
If you don't have any payment history,
anything.
If you don't have payment history, your credit your credit scores will start to go lower.
Wait till you find out what hedge fund managers can do. They can take your money, and then they can insure that money and reinsure it, and then they can play with that money and do what they want. And then when the insurance contracts come up, they get paid out on all that money that they had in the first place, and they didn't lose anything and gained and gained and gained and gained. It's like the power of fucking money. Having money, you could do so many crazy things and leverage shit beyond. That's what's wrong with this world. Leverage and derivatives. We are at a debt cycle, and debt is the wages of sin.
There you go.
So that was death, but yeah, still.
I changed it. It's better. Because debt is death. We are dead. I mean, your legal fiction is a dead person. You're not a living person. You don't know your standing. You don't know your status. So we are these walking dead zombies lost at sea.
But there you have it, ladies and gents. 10 pound, always a pleasure having you jump in. Rice Crypto Always a pleasure. We're gonna do this
Always.
again next time. Next time we'll focus in on whatever topic of the.
I don't even
UCC.
think that's possible with us, but we'll try.
We'll try. We want to walk people through this whole thing, baby steps. As he learns, as I learn, we'll try to walk you guys through it with us. And shout out again. I didn't know that was Nathaniel Graham out there that called in. He's very knowledgeable. Maybe we'll get him in as well on the subject. But yeah, man.
I love roundtables, man. I do a lot of roundtables. It's a good way of challenging our beliefs.
Yep, there you go. We'll do that next time. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. I'll leave a link. I got to put it in there, but I'll leave a link in the description of this video if you're watching it after the stream of Rice Crypto's channel. Check him out. He's doing a lot of stuff non-crypto related. He's going to be rebranding, so it was great. It was glad.
Well, I'm still doing a lot of crypto, though. I don't want people to think I'm like giving up the crypto stuff. I mean, it's just I cover.
That's a major component or part of breaking out of this system as well. Even though right now the crypto industry is really selling out, but you can still leverage it individually. You can do a lot with it. So
yeah, I mean, there's still always going to be a Rice Crypto. It's still part. It's just I'm not Rice Crypto, just like you're not Crypto Blood.
Right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. We out of here. Holla!
Surfing through the city while them chips rise. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?